First Sunday of Advent means there are 4 Sundays of Advent, which means Christmas is only 4 weeks away. Can you imagine that? And as we get nearer to Christmas, it will be snowballing very fast. Very fast. And after Christmas, all that is left with you is your overweight. The word Advent is from the Latin word advenio. It means coming. It does not mean he came. That is not what we are celebrating. That he came. He is coming. The idea of constancy. It's not an arrival at one time. Christ comes. And he will come significantly 3 times. The first coming was, of course, the historical birth of Jesus in Bethlehem, where he came in weakness, in the quiet of the night, as a helpless child, needing people to take care of him, to watch over him, to feed him. The all-powerful God limiting himself to be so weak. God himself. Now this is, wow, really worth celebrating. Kaya kahit gaano ka ka-depress, excuse me, at kahit gaano kaliit ang parul mo, please hang it on your house. Huh? This is really worth celebrating. The action of God. It cannot be just an ordinary time. Gumastos kayo ng konti sa mga Christmas lights to profess to other people that, this is a time of rejoicing. Ang nakakatawa rito is, mamaya pa yung nakakatawa. Why did he come helpless? Why did he come as somebody needy? The all-powerful coming as needy. What's the point? In this world, we respect what is strong and what is powerful. That is what we respect. That is what the world respects. And God chooses to come into this world as somebody small and little and very vulnerable because he wants to experience our life. He wants to experience what it's like to be us. The truth about us. That we are weak, we are helpless, we are very vulnerable. In his longing to be with us, he wanted to become like us. He wanted to become like us. So the highest heaven comes down and becomes what the world consider nothing. Now that is worth, wow, celebrating. Kaya kahit gaano kaliit yung parol mo, isabit mo. Excuse me lang. Now that was the first coming of Christ. The second coming of Christ is more dramatic. They call it at the end of time. As the readings we said here, we read here, wala siyang pagka-Christmas spirit talaga. Talks about the sun and the moon collapsing and roaring of the seas, and people will be in dismay. It talks about a terrible time. There's nothing Christmas about that. But you see, this is a language of the Bible, of the people at that time. It's a metaphorical language. I don't say it will not happen, but what is being emphasized here is metaphorically. It's a figure of speech. It's a fearsome language. Terrible, darkness, terror, fear. That terrible time is already here. Is now. Is right now. I don't need to describe to you how terrible time is. We're not only talking about the pandemic. We're not only talking about the new variant that resists vaccination. Supalpal na naman ang ginagawa ng tao. Supalpal na naman tayo. We're not talking about that. The terrible time is the absence of God. The absence of God. The idea that me first. I do what makes me happy. Kung saan ako masaya. Can you imagine, bawal na to greet each other Merry Christmas. It's happy holidays. Whatever that means. Bawal na to put in public words from scripture. You cannot put it in public. You know, when I was in New York, there was a complaint of all the neighborhood because in a condominium on the 27th floor, sa bintana nila naglagay sila ng bilen. On the 27th floor, and the neighbors all around complained. Complained. Bawal na kasi. I don't know what they celebrate on Christmas. Okay? Advent is about the coming of Christ. That is why it is a season of hope. In the midst of these terrible scenarios, Christ says, I will come and I will begin a new world. Not the new world order that, so many conspiracy theories are talking about. He will initiate a world in which people will understand each other, will care for each other, will love each other. Oh. In short, we are right now in a world awaiting that world to happen. How many of you would like that world to happen? Raise your hand. Yvonne, raise your hand. Thank you. We want that world to happen. What are we supposed to do? Because of this, all these stars falling and all that time. Store food, go into caves. We will do what Christ tells us. And what does he tell us? I will come, first coming. I will go away, crucifixion. I will come back, resurrection. And I will be with you until the end of time. Kung gusto mong mag-solo ka. But that is not, we are not, the biggest lie people tell us is that we are alone. I keep repeating this. It's a lie. We are never alone. Christ says, I will be with you until the end of time. The joy of Advent is the assurance of our loving God who will come to lead us safely home, where we will be happy and safe. Yes. The world is described as a terrible place. I'm just thinking, sometimes when I'm out there in the football field and I look at how beautiful the wind blowing on my face and the birds flying, I said, ang ganda-ganda dito. Parang ayoko pang mamatay. Ang ganda. When I come to think of it, nobody and I know who have passed away will want to exchange places with us right now. They would rather be where they are. Hindi tayo ang lucky ones. Sila, no more anxiety, no more fear. They will not want to exchange places with us. So, what will become of us? What will be our future? It is an open question. We have Advent, the season of hope, the promise that no matter what happens, the truth is sure. I will be with you all days until the end of time. How does that happen? How does that happen? This is how it happens. It will be in the eyes of each and every one of us. He will be in each and every one of us. Let me tell you a story. I was scolded by some of my friends for making a short homily. So this homily will be long. Okay. For those who are new, pasensya na kayo. Polly, nagsaing ka na ba? Okay, mamaya na lang during the prayer of the faithful. Okay? I was in a parish. I was assigned in a parish. I was a substitute pastor. And there was a death. It was a boy of 16 years old who was accidentally shot, dead, by a priest. It wasn't with the gun, it was just with the pellet. But for one reason or another, this pellet went, parang it was guided directly into his aorta. They were just trying to shoot some birds, and then for one reason or another, tumama rin sa bata. And directly to the aorta, laki ng katawan, sa aorta tumama. There was no chance at all. He died. And during the funeral, and this son was in the seminary together with this priest. And this priest is the friend of this family. Every time this family would visit, this priest was joining them for lunch. He was very close to the family. He shot accidentally the son, seminarian, dead. During the funeral, the burial mass, the church was packed. The church had the capacity of 2,000 people. It was packed. And there were something like 24 of us priests present there. And being the pastor, I told the father, after the liturgy, you might want to say something. Immediately after I said that, naisip ko, I wonder what he will say. But I said it already. So after the mass like that, the father from the pew stood up. It's a big church. Stood up. It's elevated church. Went up, stood on the ambo, and said, "I've always wanted to have a son priest." And itong anak niya na bunso, every time he comes for vacation, he sleeps with the father. Ganun sila ka-close. Ganun niya ka-miss yung anak niya. And I always ask my son, kailan ka ba magiging pare? Ang tagal-tagal naman ng pagpapare mo. Kailan ka magiging pare? I always ask my son every time he comes home, when will you be a priest? Very impatient. I've always wanted a son priest. And you know what? Sabi niya, I now have a son priest. You know, I was thinking, fine, he was ordained in heaven, something like that. There's an acceleration that happened in heaven. Okay, you want to hold on to that? Perfectly all right. Said, I now have a son priest. You know what he did? He went to the priest, took the hand of the priest who shot his son and killed his son, brought him in front of everybody and said, this is now my son priest. Oh my goodness gracious me. And the rest of the family, the wife and all the other children, went up to the sanctuary, went up to the altar there and hugged this priest. Christ is present every time in moments, especially of desolation and darkness, when we persevere, we choose to love. In spite of what we are feeling, what is happening to us, Christ comes. Christ did not come to teach us, how to love. No. He taught us how to live as human beings. And human beings, they live in love. It's not only in beautiful times. No. In terrible times when the stars are falling and the sun doesn't shine and there are earthquakes and all these difficult moments, and we choose to love, Christ becomes present. Christmas is a merry month. It's full of joyful things. Put that parole, no matter how small. Proclaim hope. It can be any color. This Christmas, there will be people among us, people you know, who will celebrate Christmas for the first time without their loved ones. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. Probably will not even know what to do. Reach out to them. Our text is not very expensive. Let's think about them this Christmas. In this period of desolation, in this period of darkness, in the period of uncertainty, there will be a parole, there will be a light when we think of other people who are suffering. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us pause and allow God to talk to us.